Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, as we gather in this virtual space to explore the richness of multicultural diversity in education, we seek your guidance and blessings. We thank you for the opportunity to come together from different backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences. Grant us open hearts and minds as we engage in meaningful conversations about fostering inclusivity in our educational systems. May your wisdom inspire us to appreciate the beauty that lies in our differences, recognizing that diversity is a source of strength and unity. Bless our discussion that they may be filled with respect, understanding, and a commitment to creating an environment where all students and educators feel valued and empowered. As we embark on this journey of exploration and learning, we ask for your presence to guide us and your grace to help us build bridges of understanding across cultures. In your holy name, we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
This is the school we wish to sing, of a school to honor and revere, a temple built by man of firmness, a mold for you to walk with pride, for He will always be united, although we tread on distant lands. We all shall cherish what you've taught us, that you wholeheartedly gave forth. Before University, learning torch of wisdom, fount of courage, hope, and love, seed of truth and light. Before University, burning torch of wisdom, fount of courage.
All right. Good afternoon once again, everyone. As we embark on our journey to explore the transformative power of diversity within our educational landscape, as our student populations become increasingly multicultural, it is very crucial that as educators and stakeholders to understand the significance of fostering inclusive environments. And so, our distinguished panel of experts will share insights, strategies, and success stories aimed at creating educational spaces that celebrate differences and empower students from all walks of life. And so, we'll listen to a very short message to welcome us to this event. May we hear from Miss Ruby Rose Locsin.
Good afternoon, everyone. To our esteemed resource speakers, Dr. Noel Raffer and Dr. Lorna Menya, our professor, Dr. Herbert Rosana, the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Jane Mascareñas, represented by Dr. Dan Cabeles, President of Bicol University, Dr. Babyboy Benjamin Nibres, represented by Attorney Norly Reyes, PhD classmates, fellow educators, and participants. Welcome to this webinar on multicultural diversity in education. Today, we gather to explore the richness and significance of embracing diverse perspectives within our educational institution. As we embark on this journey of understanding, let us cultivate an environment of open dialogue and collaboration, recognizing that diversity is not only a strength, but a fundamental aspect of a well-rounded education. Again, I welcome you all to this webinar and thank you for being an integral part of this meaningful event.
Thank you, Ms. Ruby. At this point, we shall listen to the message of the BU Graduate School Dean, Dr. Jane Mascareñas, through the BUG Secretary. Let us all welcome with our virtual applause, Dr. Dan Cabeles.
Thank you very much, Ms. Joanne. Our beloved Dean is attending a very significant concern at the moment. So on behalf of the Dean, Dr. Maria Jane Mascareñas, allow me to read her message. Good afternoon, everyone. I congratulate the organizers of this seminar for rightfully and courageously embarking on this topic, multicultural education. This is a topic where you will have a vast array of intellectual discourse with equally competent speakers to share their expertise with this group of doctoral students of BU Graduate School. Indeed, it is very relevant and timely topic for everyone in this present time, not just in our local midst, but globally. Given your invited speakers, I hope you will be able to engage on a productive journey to explore the importance of richness of multicultural education. I hope you will be able to delve into the diverse cultures, values, and continuously evolving perspectives that shape our world. It is clearly important to appreciate and embrace diversity, promote inclusivity, and cultivate understanding in our society. It is significantly relevant that as an approach to the teaching and learning process, values and cultural diversity are highly recognized and appreciated, whereby all students, regardless of their cultural backgrounds, are respected, understood, and represented. Multicultural education is an approach that integrates diverse cultural perspectives into the curriculum, teaching methods, and school policies, promoting equity, social justice, and appreciation for different cultures. With multicultural education, it is expected to prepare students to thrive in a globalized world by teaching them to respect and engage with people from various cultural backgrounds. We in Bicol University have embarked on this early on in the past administrations, where our leaders have embraced the culture of engaging in various capacities and expertise with different schools in various countries, not just within our immediate neighboring Asian countries, but extending it to Europe and the United States and others. These are testimonies that we in Bicol University truly embrace multicultural education. I hope you will enjoy today's seminar and learn more with your esteemed selected speakers along with the respective assigned topics. Dios mabalos, maray na aldaw sa Indogabos, Merry Christmas to one and all. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the message of the Dean of the BU Graduate School, Dr. Maria Jane Mascareñas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc Dan, for reading, of course, and channeling the message of our dean. So at this point, we shall complete our messages
Recording in
and
progress.
hear the message, of course, of our beloved university president, Dr. Baby Boy Benjamin Nebres, who is represented by the Vice President for Administration and Finance. Let us welcome Attorney Norly Reyes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the University President, Dr. Baby Boy Benjamin Nebres is also in an equally important engagement. I have the honor to read to you the message of Dr. Baby Boy in this activity of yours. So let me start. To the Dean of the BU Graduate School, Dr. Mary Jane D. Mascareñas, ably represented by the College Secretary, Dr. Rodan Cabiles, Dr. Herbert Rosana, the course professor and co-organizer of this relevant seminar, along with the PhD in Educational Foundation students, our experts invited by the class, virtual audience, and online participants, good afternoon. The ultimate goal of our vision of a university for humanity is towards building sustainable societies. The more vibrant and diverse a society is, the more possibilities for creative thinkers. However, on the downside, diversity also breeds intolerance, prejudice, and discrimination. The ideal is unity in diversity, but the reality is safe spaces and free thinkers do not always go hand in hand. In a university for humanity, diversity is celebrated. Free thinkers are welcome. Differences are not just tolerated. Instead, they are accepted and embraced. Inclusivity and understanding, empathy and compassion, without necessarily neglecting competence, are the necessary ingredients for societies to be sustainable and for development to be equal and equitable. Therefore, your webinar is truly an advocacy for sustainability of our vision of a university for humanity. Where else should acceptance, understanding, and inclusivity be, if not within the fertile grounds of education? To simply understand is not enough, but the path to understanding begins with awareness and knowledge of what needs to be understood. Thus, as educators, we should be the first to know and advocate for multicultural diversity in education. My commendations to the organizers and free thinkers of this webinar. I hope that our training and other capability enhancement will be focused on building sustainable societies so that we can contribute to the fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals. May you learn insightful ideas in this webinar. Diyos mabalos and Merry Christmas, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the message of beloved President. Thank you and once again, good afternoon.
Thank you so much po, Attorney, for reading to us also the message of our president. And of course, at this point, we are going to listen to an inspiring message from the person behind this webinar who pushed us to make this into a reality. Okay, our professor and the former dean of Bicol University Graduate School. Let us hear it from Dr. Herbert Rosana.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
and it's a pleasure to be here today, to be surrounded by advocates and enthusiasts of inclusive education. The theme we're gathered around today holds immense significance in shaping not just the future of education, but the very fabric of our society. And inclusive education isn't merely a concept, it's a belief in action. It's about creating spaces where diversity is celebrated, where every individual, irrespective of their background, abilities, or challenges, feels not just welcome but valued. When we talk about inclusive education, we're not just talking about providing access to classrooms. It's about ensuring that every student has equitable opportunities to thrive, to learn, and to contribute meaningfully to the community they belong to. True, inclusivity isn't just accommodating differences, it's about embracing them, it's about fostering an environment where diversity is seen as a strength, where varied perspective enrich the learning experience, and where empathy and understanding lay the foundation for a more compassionate society. The journey towards inclusive education isn't without its challenges. It demands a collective effort, a commitment to breaking down the barriers, and a willingness to listen and learn from each other's experiences. It requires us to reassess our methods, policies, and attitudes, and to continuously strive for improvement. But the rewards of inclusive education are immeasurable. It's not just about providing an education, it's about empowering individuals to realize their full potentials irrespective of their differences. It's about nurturing a generation that embraces diversity, fosters empathy, and builds a more inclusive world for generations to come. As we navigate through today's discussion and activities, let us keep in mind that inclusive education isn't a destination, it's a journey, and we embark on together. And it's a journey that that requires collaboration, understanding, and unwavering commitment to ensure that every voice is heard and every individual is given the opportunity to shine. So my greeting goes to each and every one of you, especially to our President, University President, Dr. Baby Boy Benjamin Nebres III, as represented also by our esteemed Vice President for Administration and Finance, Attorney Norly Reyes, and also to our BAG Secretary, Dr. Dan Cabiles, representing also our Dean, Dr. Maria Jane Mascareñas, and especially to all the teachers around here. Welcome and thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to come together.
Thank you very much, Doc Herbert, for your message. So bago po tayo mapunta sa main event ng ating seminar for this afternoon, let us be calmed down with this very short intermission number by Julian Fernando, a grade 10 student from St. Agnes Academy.
Yeah, ano po yun? Saan ang importance? Sige.
Thank you so much, Julian, for that intermission number. And now we are ready to explore the richness of diversity. But at first, we unpack the intricacies of inclusive education by examining how it can serve as a cornerstone for broader societal development and by understanding the unique needs and perspective of all genders. I have the privilege to introduce to you everyone this afternoon our first speaker, who is a recipient of different awards, a researcher, a presenter in national and international conferences, and a member and officer of varied organizations. She is a licensed professional teacher, a level 2 educational specialist in California, USA, a sociologist and member of the International Sociological Association, and a full-time professor and director of gender and development of Bickel University, an exceptionally skilled and adored speaker, seamlessly resonate with the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all hearty welcome none other than Dr. Noel R. Refer.
Thank you very much po, Ma'am Joanne. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm speechless kasi I thought this is really just really a class. So Sir Gerard Dawenko has a lot to explain to me after this. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm really so surprised. It's a good thing that lagi tayong handa. Actually, segue lang ng konti. I usually don't accept invitations during weekends because of various personal reasons. But I really can say no. So, in any case, I'm so happy to be with you and share my advocacy, the Center for Gender and Development's advocacy as well. So, without much further ado, since I think I'm only given 30-40 minutes, so allow me to share my screen and start my discussion. Can you see it na po?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. But before I proceed, warm greetings, especially to the university president, Dr. Benjamin Nebres, as represented by Attorney Reyes, the dean of the graduate school, Dr. Jane Mascareñas, also the dean of the College of Education, Dr. Lorna Minya, the former dean of the graduate school, and your professor, Dr. Herbert Husada. Esteemed professors are here as well, and colleagues, if there are, and my former students. Good afternoon, and of course, welcome also to all the students attending this webinar. So for this afternoon, I'll be sharing with you some thoughts about gender and development through a gender-fair education and inclusivity amidst diversity. So I have to tweak to tweak my presentation with regard to the theme that you are having right now. Sorry that. Talaga, I'm really amazed that this is a big event, but this is not only a class. Nevertheless, so allow me to share now my thoughts. So what would you expect from this academic exercise? So one, we'll talk about gender fair education and also policies and guidelines on GAD, especially in the Philippines. So I'll be zeroing into CHED Memorandum 2015-01, which is the very Bible po of all GAD initiatives in the Philippines, especially in higher educational institutions. And I'll talk about some challenges and some takeaways. I was thinking of having a short quiz sana, but I'll do away with it in the interest of time. Tatawagin ko sana yung mga former students ko. So, under gender fair education, so we'll talk about what is it and some examples and principles and practices. And then, of course, we also have to talk about the attributes of what does it take to be a gender fair education teacher, Ma'am Joanne, and the rest. By the way, am I audible po? Can you hear me po? Loud and clear? Thank you. and also examples of gender fair education practices. And later on, I'll focus on into the CHED Memorandum 2015-01. So to start with, ano po ang gender fair education? I got these definitions from my training as well, from a national training on gender. We have this agreement, memorandum of understanding or agreement with one of the pillars of gender and development in the Philippines. That is the Women and Gender Institute of the Miriam College, Quezon City. So when we talk about gender fair education, talks about respect to one another, embracing all genders in the community. So regardless of who you are, regardless of SOGI SC, sana may SOGI SC muna, pero I bet since you are PhD students, so more or less already have the basic knowledge of what SOGI SC means. But simply stated, it's sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, and sexual characteristics. So whoever you are, we teachers should embrace our students. Okay. Another one is practicing gender equality in teaching and learning in all settings, even between students and teachers, among peers. Gone are the days that we should always call the men to read because they have bigger and louder voices. So, kayo magbasa kasi lalaki, malakas ang boses. So, hindi po dapat ganyan. When we do give assignments, it should not be based on gender and so GSC in general. And we should also promote teaching and learning of gender equity and equality. Sorry na may background paputukan sa ano. I hope it's not distracting, but I'm just being distracted. When we talk about gender equality and equity, actually, as for me, equity is broader when we talk about the concept of equity and equality. Because when we talk about equality, we'll just be giving students or everyone same or equivalent platform. For example, when we are watching a particular baseball game, so everyone would be given the same opportunity to watch, regardless of the height, the stature, and so on and so forth of the viewers. So when we talk about equity, we will be considering the diverse characteristic of the viewers. So kung medyo mababa ako, so I should be given a higher platform than the higher one. So same thing with gender equity and equality. So when women are at a disadvantage, we should give them a higher ground to be equal with men and LGBTQIA+, but doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be unfair with the men. Iyo po. I hope walang Tagalog dito. Sometimes I would speak in Bicol. Another one is we have to give equal treatment, so without discrimination. Actually, before I became a fully credentialed teacher in the US, we have to take one particular course, and which I took at the University of California, Berkeley Extension, that is fostering wellness. It's a mandated subject for all teachers or for all persons who would like to become a teacher. Because as you know, the United States and even especially California is a very diverse culture. And so we have to have some ideas as to how we could foster wellness amongst diversity in our students. Another one is empowering men and women to have an equal learning education. I would like to add empowering LGBTQIA plus community members as well. Because when we talk about gender and development, it doesn't only mean about women. Before, when we talk about gender development, lagi sinasabi, these are only about women, about Ma'am Joanne and all my women students. Hindi na po. How about the men? Yes po, kasama po kayo. Lahat ng kalalakihan po na nandirito ngayon. You're all part of gender and development. We're all equals and partners in terms of development. And also incorporating gender-based perspectives in teaching, learning environment. So when we do give examples, I'm just thinking, I'm seeing also PhD in mathematics. How are we going to talk about gender and development and gender fair education in math? So when we do give examples, when we call our students, hindi lang puro lalaki kasi lalaki ay matatalino kaysa babae in terms of math. Tama ba? Hindi lahat ng pagkakataon. So we have to balance the equation po. Another one, we have to be mindful in involving the experiences and voices and perspectives of all girls and women, boys and men, LGBTQIA plus youth and adults. So every voice must be heard. Okay. And one particular example that I could give you based on my international exposure was that one of my students do not speak in class. So what I have done was to assign each of them to talk about the best part of their culture, to show the best of their culture. And having said that, one of my students from Mexico had shared about the best, as far as best practices in his town. So at least more or less I was able to get and heard his voice. Another one is we talk about gender fair education to promote gender equality, equity, dignity, and respect, highlighting gendered practices as derived from historical and cultural processes. Later on, I would be mentioning sa baba na talagang gender is even a cultural perspective. Another one is an evolving and lifelong field of study. It doesn't stop. Actually, when you talk about gender and diversity, it's in a spectrum. So before we only know binaries or two classifications, male, female lang, men, women, but this time we have a spectrum. We could make use of the idea of Alfred Kinsey, theoretically speaking. Another one, so when we talk about gender fair education, what are some of the basic principles? Saan tayo humuhugot ng pinag-uusapan natin tungkol sa gender fair education? So we should all believe that we are born equal. Otherwise, we can talk about gender fair education. So all of us are equal. Kaya lang some people may argue with me that no, men are stronger than women. That's only about physical strength. But we, as human beings, we are born equal, and so we must be given equal opportunities to develop our potentials. All students also have the right to a gender fair learning environment, not only gender fair learning environment, but education as a whole. So we have the UN Sustainable Goal number 4. And when we talk about gender and development, sorry. May nagtatrabaho. Sorry, I'm distracted by the noise. When we talk also about gender and development, we also have the UN Sustainable Goal number 5. Ayun po. And we also have the United Nations Rights of the Children to Education. Other principles as well. Ma'am Jo, am I still audible kahit may nagtatrabaho na sa kabilang bahay? All education programs and career decisions should be based on students' interests and abilities, regardless of gender. In my case as education specialist in California, we have to have different IEPs, or we call individualized education program. So each of my students have their own IEP goals and objectives. So it's based on their interests, abilities, regardless of gender. Another one is gender fair education incorporates issues of class, culture, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, and alike. So having said that, it's within the purview of sociology, which yours truly is a sociologist. Okay, another one. So let's move into how does it take to become a gender fair education or teacher? So one, basically, si Dr. Tess de Vela had given us 3 basic factors. One is open-minded. Ilan ba sa ating mga teachers, bawal kang pumasok dahil naka-lipstick ka, mahaba ang buhok mo, you should cut your hair. Mga ganong tipo. Kayong mga babae, dito kayo sa kabila. Sa likod kayo ng mga lalaki, mas magaling mga lalaki sa math. Mga ganong tipo. And also, teachers should be a lifelong learner. We should not stop learning because there are different perspectives along the way, especially when we talk about gender. We have to be very accepting as well, especially with regard to various theories and perspectives when it comes to diversity in gender. Christmas na. Another one is we should be passionate and compassionate. Passionate in terms of giving all the rights to our children to be educated, and be compassionate regardless of their SOGSC, regardless of their class, regardless of their diversity, and also um, multiple intelligence and different abilities. Ayaw natin sabihin na disabilities, but different abilities. Ayan, so nabanggit ko yan kanina. What are some possible practices that you could do under gender fair education? So one, you could espouse gender fair policies and mandates, and I would add sa presentation to Dr. Devela, for example, in the university and in your respective institutions, you have to have a GFPS or God Focal Point system to make sure that gender and development has to be implemented in your educational institutions. This week I had visitors from a certain national high school. I said, I really don't know how gender development is being done in national high schools, but in higher educational institutions, we have the CHED CMO 2015-01, which we are following. So under the CHED Memo 2015-01, we have to have the GFPS, we have to have the secretariat, we have to make use of gender fair language or GFL po, gender fair language. And kung nasa actual tayo na discussion, I'm willing to give 500 pesos for the person who would be able to tell me exactly how many times gender fair language was mentioned in the CMO 2015-01. How many times are we going to make use of gender fair language? How many times po, Ma'am Joanne? 500, 1,000. Joke lang. So it's 3 times. So it's that serious po. Okay, wag tayo magsabi, "Uy, bakla, kung ano tabi yan, magsamot ka, tay ka bakla." Ala. We also have to we also have to have a CODI or Committee on Decorum Investigation for sexual harassment cases. Ano po, and we have from anti-sexual harassment or RA 7877, we have a harsher law now. We have the RA 11313, which I would also be mentioning later on. Binibilisan ko lang, sorry po, kasi baka kulat na ako ng oras. We also have to have, halimbawa, in our university, I'm included in the University Work and Financial Planning, and I won't sign, Sonia, for example. Sorry for making this an example, Ma'am Lorna. I won't sign, for example, the budget, the work and financial plan of the College of Education without certain funds for God. Sorry na. Mga ganun tipo. But it doesn't mean that I have to make it so personal that if I have this grudge against Ma'am Lorna, I won't sign it. No, I have to be professional. Okay. And another one is we have to incorporate concepts of God in curriculum and instruction. And of course, mainstreaming God in all your programs and services or activities in your school activities and programs. Our basic goal is gender and development, and our approach is gender mainstreaming. And I hope your activities and programs in your respective institutions do have gender concepts, gender and development concepts. I'm reviewing my concepts. So our goal is gender and development po, my dear friends, and our strategy and approaches would be our approach is gender development, our strategy would be gender mainstreaming. Another one, we also have to imbibe institutional culture. For example, when we talk about classroom policies, when we talk about uniform, graduation attire. So I would like to add, for example, from the presentation of Dr. Devela. So how many amongst us want allow our students if they're wearing long hair, especially sa high school and sa college? Naging issue to one time sa ibang educational institutions. Uniform and graduation attire have been a long, argument in educational institutions. Nahuhuli na po tayo sa UP, sa Ateneo, sa De La Salle at ibang, I think Ateneo de Naga is already allowing students to wear their uniform and graduation attire based on their SOGSC. So congratulations to all of them. I hope you could do the same. Another one is affirmed in everyday practice through the use of gender fair language, especially when we talk about classroom instruction. Okay? One time I attended a national book editing board seminar. My goodness gracious Lord, ang dami-daming mali. Sorry na. Di ko nababanggitin, sa mga materials ng isang agency na ginagamit. Kaya just ko. And another one, we also have to submit to gender audit. The Philippine Commission on Women and the Commission on Higher Education is mandating us, higher education institutions, to subject ourselves into audit. And we make use of the GMF, or the Gender Mainstreaming Evaluation Framework, to see to it that we are actually along with the God mandates. We could have a separate discussion on that. Bilisan ko na lang po kasi ilang minutes na lang po, Ma'am Jo. Under CHED-CMO, we also have the rationale and mandates, general policies, and the constitution of God focal point system to really make it sure that God is being done in educational institutions. And we would be focusing on curriculum, responsive research, and extension, which are the core functions of HEIs. So under rationale or mandates, we have to follow the CEDAW. You could just ask me na lang later on siguro po, later sometime if we have. CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women that was instituted in 1981, which the Philippines is party of. But not all countries would be doing or implementing the CEDAW. That's why international communities also pushed for the Beijing Platform for Action, or BPFA, in 1995 to push for the rights of women. And of course, we have our local mandate. We have the 1987 Philippine Constitution, wherein it says that women, and men, of course, are part of the nation building and equality. And we also have the Women and Development and Nation Building Act, the Magna Carta of Women, which is the very Bible of the women's rights, the local version or national version of the CEDAW, and of course, the CHED Memo 2015-01. Under CHED memo, we have every educational institution has to follow these particular mandates, like developing and promoting gender-sensitive curriculum, developing gender-fair instructional materials, and so on and so forth as part of gender-fair education. It's also being encouraged that we could also work with advertising industries to make use or to provide for free use of spaces and installation of displays for us with regard to campaigns to end discrimination and violence against women. And of course, we should guarantee that educational institutions should provide scholarships and or programs, especially for marginalized women and girls. Okay. And then when we talk about CHED memo, the coverage is that it should be applied to CHED, central regional offices, and all HEIs. And we say HEIs, that would include the SUCs, or state universities and colleges, the LUCs, or local universities and colleges, and all the private educational institutions. Kaya po, paumanhin po sa mga nagtuturo sa high school, di ko po alam masyado ang inyo pong sinusundan na mandato. And under this particular CHED memo, we have to establish mechanisms that our curriculum, research, and extension programs should be gender responsive. So how are we going to become gender responsive? The GFPS has to follow certain duties and responsibilities. Hindi ko na po isa-isahin. Ayan, we have to make use of gender-sensitive language. It was mentioned 3 times po. we should undergo capacity building on God. Lahat po ng teachers. Kaya congratulations organizer po nito. This would also be part of your God capacity building and training also on God. Okay. Ayan. Then we also have to have adequate library and related learning materials. Meron po ba tayong section sa library natin na patungkol sa gender and development? Another one is the second time that gender-sensitive language is being mandated. So lahat po tayo. So don't call me Sir Noel. As an example, call me Noel if you're not comfortable calling me ma'am, or you could call me prof since I'm a full professor, or doc since I also already have my PhD. So I won't force you to call me, the way that other people would address me. Simply call me Noel if you want, just to be sensitive. So don't call me sir. I think you could see a very beautiful lady on your screen and you're going to call me sir. No, I'm just kidding. And then another one. So we have to create a technical panel on gender and women. We have to review and propose course offerings. And I'm so happy that the Vice President for Academic Affairs of Bicol University is already doing its part. And actually, the Bicol University's Board of Regents won't sign or approve any policy or handbook without going through my scrutiny. So that's how powerful I am right now. I'm just kidding. Another one. So we have to provide technical assistance to mainstream gender-sensitive principles and so on and so forth. Ayan po. The third time that we have to make use of gender-sensitive language. Just an example po, my dear friends. So if you're not sure of addressing a particular person, you may ask. So, for example, Joanne, so how would you like me to address you po? So be mindful. So if you ask me how you would like to address me, I could give you my current address. I'm living at Doña Cecilia Village. No, I'm just kidding. So we could make use of the MUX MX that's widely used in Europe, not widely used here in the Philippines, but it's accepted. In fact, the first time that I received a notice from the Philippine Commission on Women, I said, maybe this is a typographical error. But I reviewed, I said, oh no, I was wrong. So mix or MX period, that's a non-binary title or address that you may call a person. Now, for your research to become gender sensitive, you may focus on the following priority areas. God budgeting and planning, research with women's studies as areas of studies in all disciplines. Are men really good in math? Are they really better than women? Halimbawa, ano po? Specific topics for gender research in the light of social issues. There are tons and tons of issues as mentioned in the Magna Carta of Women that you could focus on. And also gender empowerment and decision making for those who are in public administration. Okay. Mapping and strengthening economic empowerment for those who are into business, economics, and management. Okay. For those who are into culture, indigenous women and girls, and other marginalized sectors. Ma'am Jo, how many minutes do I still have?
Take your time, Doc.
Okay. Salamat. Career tracking of women. How are our architect and engineers? Are they doing well in their field? Are they being discriminated? For those in the social studies, we could talk about women and history. We make use of when we have activities on God, we make use of the Philippine Commission Women's National Anthem. You could see the array of the best Filipino women who made history. Okay. Another one is emerging gender issues, such as but not limited rather to sexual orientation and gender identities. When we talk about extension program, we should focus on, as mandated by the Philippine Commission Women and our government in general, We have to promote gender equality, poverty reduction, and sustainable development. We talk about extension. So these are the priority areas. Technology transfer. So those into their own respective fields. So you may help in transferring your knowledge to the community. We could also help them in livelihood programs, financial literacy, technical assistance, advocacy, and forge linkages with other government and non-governmental organizations. Now, so what are some challenges for us to have a gender fair education under multicultural diversity in education? So one, I would say it's a gender is a social and cultural construct. Who says what women and men should do? What are the roles are dictated by culture? So we have to remember that. So I'm trying to relate gender fair education into your course on multicultural diversity in education. A different cultures have different roles assigned to women. Before some Philippines, of course, in our context, we have to be the dishwashers, to take care of the children, wash the clothes and whatnot. But nowadays, we're also trying to push for equality and even for men to know all these things. So, hindi ko na-appreciate dati yung paggawa ng sa practical arts, sa mga pinapagawa sa amin, yung sa agriculture, pag-gardening and whatnot. But hey, this time, I'm into agriculture and I really am appreciating what our previous teachers had been doing to us. Sa HE, yung pagsusulsi, etc., kung kaya din po natin gawin, kahit yung mga lalaki dapat tinuturuan, pag-aalaga ng baby, okay, how to handle the baby, how to change diapers, okay, even men should know that as well. Okay, who knows you would be doing that. I've been changing diapers as well in the US, part ng trabaho ko, especially for those students with different abilities. And another one, different cultures have different perspectives on gender. In fact, sad to say, in some cultures, women are being discriminated at the outskirts. Mababa ang tingin sa kanila. Asawa lang kayo, Miss Joanne. Asawa lang kayo. Sorry na, kasi nakikita ko lang si Ma'am Joanne eh. Pangbahay ka lang. Maganong tipo. Okay, asawa lang kita. Maganong tipo. Of course, this today, nagbabago na yan. But in some cultures, my goodness gracious Lord, may tinatawag tayong female genital mutilation. Tinatanggal po. Ikaw ba naman tanggalan ng clitoris or clitoridectomy tinatawag? Sabi ko, kung tatanggalan tayo, para patas yung mga lalaki, tanggalan din. Sorry na. But sa ibang part ng atang anang mundo din, ginagawa din po yung circumcision using mga how would I call it? Unsterilized materials. Kaya nagkakaroon din po ng tawag dyan, ng infections which may lead to death. Okay po. Another one, yung mga member ng LGBTQIA+ po, pinaflagellate, pinapatay, hinahang sa ibang countries. So hindi po ako pwedeng pumunta sa ibang Muslim countries. Once I would be caught, I would be hanged, I would be flagellated to death, particularly in Indonesia. So I've been there. But if I would be caught having sex with same sex, my goodness gracious Lord, hindi na po ko aabutan o sisikatan ng araw. Another one, women and LGBTQIA+ members are often discriminated even in educational settings. So bilisan ko na lang po. So why do we need to talk about gender even in education? To break the misconceptions. We teachers should break the misconceptions. Okay po. That women are, for example, are emotional, weak, and so on and so forth. Actually po, if you consider women as weak, slut, tuta, etc., pwede po kayong kasuhan under RA 11313 for misogynistic remarks. Halimbawa, Miss Joanne, sana Miss Joanne, ang ulo mo, ang utak mo, sana kasing laki ng dede mo. Ayan, pwede po akong kasuhan, Miss Joanne. Another one, so we especially po the ones working for the government, We are duty bearers. We are bound for to break the misconceptions, okay, to espouse diversity among different people. We also have to follow the Magna Carta of Women and the RA 11313 or Safe Spaces Act. We have to be trained. So again, congratulations for the organizer of this activity. We could have a separate discussion on RA 11313. Okay, bawal na po ang simpleng paninipol. Hoy, bakla! Pako ka sa krus. Ano pa? Hoy, pare, ang hot mo naman. Siguro game ka. Mga ganun tipo. Nakita ko, Miss Jo, yung picture mo sa you were so sexy in your pictures and nudes ka naman. So, gender-based sexual harassment may happen at school. So, education or training, workplaces po, public spaces, and online. Okay. And people of diverse SOGSC depend on policies and activities of government, but nowadays, SOGI bill is still a bill. And ayan, only a few LGUs do have anti-discriminatory ordinances. I'm so glad that the Albay province already has its anti-discrimination ordinance. Okay, we also lost economic opportunities for those who are members of people with diverse SOGSC. Actually, I wasn't hired in Manila because of my SOGSC. Very conservative pala yung napasukan ko. So it's their loss, not mine. Just kidding. Okay, another one. Ito po, simple statistics. Pag babae ka, Ma'am Jo, 23 to 25 years old ka pa lang, may asawa, mukhang magagrabe ako dito sa maternity benefits, wag na. Let's not hire her. Do you know po, I was about to say, my dear students, I was so amazed when we went to New Zealand. New Zealand po is the top country in Asia when it comes to gender development. My God, they do give a lot of benefits to women, especially those who are giving birth, up to 9 months, 6 to 9 months, if I'm not mistaken, and all expenses paid, yung hospitalization, lahat. The wife of my nephew only paid the parking fee. My prenatal, natal, postnatal, all expenses paid by the government. My goodness gracious Lord. Another one, 9.7 is subjected to sexual harassment. For those people with diverse SOGSC, denied promotion incentives, and they do not report the incident. Why? Wala naman daw mangyayari. Kahit yung mga lalaki kasi, wala namang mawawala, wala naman nangyayari. May nawawala din po sa mga lalaki yung dignidad yun, yung respeto sa sarili. Okay. At saka yung mga babae nahihirapan mag-report because of the fear for their own reputation. Si Ma'am Joanne, respect na yan. Ginamit niya, blah, blah, blah. Sige, so, ayan. Kahit anuin mo na yan. Minsan nakakairita, maharid ka ng mga lalaki na, maghanap ka ng single mom, mga hot yan, mga hot mama. My goodness gracious Lord, let's stop saying that. Okay. Another one, those who are members of LGBT would also experience unfair treatment, either partially or fully, and they're slightly higher in schools. Galing po yan sa Philippine Commission on Women, hindi po sa akin. And 48.79% would say that they often or sometimes encounter unfair treatment or bias because of their SOGSC. And I'm nearing, sorry po, malapit na po magtapos. So what do we have to do now? Let's be gender responsive. When we say gender responsive, let's work all together for the eventual elimination of the sources of discrimination at home, in educational settings, at work, community, and society as a whole. And let's all foster wellness. And let's also follow international, national, and local laws. Ayan, ang dami po nating mga batas. Ayan. And in BU, for example, we have the AO 597-2025, or the use of gender-sensitive language and images in all forms of communications. Sorry na po, ako po yung nag-draft niyan. Mag-plug lang po. Meron din po tayong anti-sexual harassment or RA 7877, anti-photo and video voyeurism, and so on. Ang dami pa po. And currently, RA 11313, my dear friends, professors, students, we could lose our license, our diploma po once we violate RA 11313. And within 10 days, whatever is being reported to us, for example, should be acted upon within 10 days. Otherwise, any government agency not responding to any complaints may be meted out with harsher penalties. Eh po, so mas may pangil po ngayon ang RA 11313. But all these are easier said than done para sa akin. To sustain our commitment and enthusiasm, we as educators should always couple our God advocacy work with necessary ingredients to really effect positive results. And ako lagi kong sinasabi sa aking sa Center for God, changing the landscape is going beyond commitment. It has to be coupled with the spirit of volunteerism because God advocacy is a hard work. And we have to couple it also with principle of care. Instead of doing it out of duty, we do it out of care for other people, for diverse people, and to achieve real impact such as gender fair education amidst diversity. So thank you very much for listening, and congratulations once again for having this particular activity. Just mapalos po sa Induga po. So you have a colorful and wonderful world to all of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raffer, for that very insightful talk. I invite everyone to give our speaker our emoji as a way of showing our gratitude. Thank you for taking us on a journey that delves not only into the intersectionality of gender and education, but also exploring how it can pave the way for a more equitable and prosperous future. At hindi ko po makakalimutan, di ba, Doc, ang palagi mong sinasabi that education is the foundation of a progressive nation. Okay. And so with that po, may I invite one of our participants to give a reaction on the talk of Dr. Fer. Let us welcome Mr. Benjamin L. Ambrose.
Thank you very much, Doc Joanne. Good afternoon, everyone. To our key officials of Bicol University, esteemed invited guests and speakers, muli magandang hapon po sa lahat. And first, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Raffer for giving us an insightful discussion regarding gender equity in education. Thus, this is timely and relevant matter on education in the present time. And I agreed of what our speaker mentioned earlier on discussions that ensuring fair and equal opportunities for individuals of all genders within educational system. It also addresses access to education, quality of learning, and empowerment regardless of gender. Efforts are aimed at eliminating bias, stereotypes, and barriers that hinder equal participation, fostering a supported environment that encourages confidence, leadership in the development of students' full potential. And as mentioned earlier of Dr. Raffer, by challenging societal norms, providing exclusive curricula, and providing training for educators, gender equity aims to create environments where all students feel safe, empowered, and have the same opportunities to succeed. This pursuit of gender equity in education extends beyond the classroom, recognizing the broader societal impact. Lastly, achieving gender equity in education not only ensures fairness within school, but also contributes to societal progress, economic development, and the creations of more inclusive and equitable communities that benefits from diverse talent and perspective of all genders. Thank you very much once again to our dear guest speaker, Dr. Raffer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Benjamin, for your reaction. So I think we can take this opportunity to have or channel our questions for our speakers. Okay. So you can use the chat box, everybody, or you may raise your hand to be recognized so that you can ask your question while our speaker is still with us this afternoon. Ayan. Wala po bang gustong magtanong sa ating director, Dr. Noel Roper?
Kaya magtanong na po kayo. Namiss ko kayo.
Yes.
Anyway, so any questions po? I'm willing to
Yan.
take 1 or 2 questions perhaps, since I
Yes.
know you still have another speaker. Siguro magpa-plug na lang ako kung wala o habang nag-iisip pa sila, just in case if you have questions on God, you may simply visit us at Room 4, Social Work Building, CSSP, Daraga Campus.
Yes. And open naman siguro si Doc Roper, no, for invitations, of course, to spread this advocacy.
Yes po.
We can just
Any
contact.
questions po?
Yan.
Wala?
Sige po, wala po ba? I think it's an indicator that whatever was shared to us by Dr. Ruffer was clearly inculcated, not just in our mind, but in our heart. And most importantly, it should be cascaded into action, not only in our institution, but also it should start within ourselves and in our homes and spread it to our community. Okay? So, parang wala talaga, Doc Ruffer, na gusto magtanong. But at any rate, if they have some questions, we can just channel it to you, perhaps, and
Opo.
we can just coordinate the answers to the questions. Okay po?
Opo. Thank you very
Yan.
much.
So, let's give...
Since I'm done, may I already go?
I think we will be presenting already our certificate po muna sa Doc before you also go, no? So Doc Minya, is it okay po if we kasi alis na si Doc, no? Okay. Are we ready with our simple token?
Gender sensitivity.
Yan. So I think Ma'am Chini, would you like to address a question? I mean, throw a question to our speaker? Wala naman po. Okay, I think we also have to reflect, right, how we are so far when it comes to gender and development in our own institution. So yun nga yung sinabi ko kanina. And one comment from our participant here, glad to be updated by the new RA on gender sensitivity. Yeah, it was emphasized, diba, na mas pinatatag. Okay, it is more I mean, it is given more emphasis at this point. So let us also feel empowered to assert our rights, okay, our rights in our gender choices. So I think we are ready. So sino po yung mag-share ng ating okay? So any other comments from our participants? Ayan, sabi nila, thank you, Doc Ruffer. Well delivered also. Yeah. We wish that we would have more time really about this talk, because I'm sure that we'd be able to capture specific ways on how we can really advocate for gender and equality in our institution. Okay? So Doc, if it would be okay, siguro 2 minutes lang to, no? I'd like to share. Yan. So, nandito naman si Doc. I think itong na-research ko naman, parang icebreaker lang tayo na madali. Okay? Yan. So, magtatanong lang muna ako sa ating audience. Okay? Kung true or false lang po ito. Okay. Are you sharing? Okay. So, yan. True or false lang po tayo about men and women. Okay, so for example, kasi this one is entitled Gender Matters. Yes. So may I invite everyone to write their answers in the chat box. So true or false lang ito. Number 1, do you agree in the statement that women are better at reading maps than men? True or false? Okay, let's give our participants 5 seconds to write their answers. Yan. True? True ba? How about Doc Rofer? Ano kaya po ang tamang kasagutan dito? And these are based on research po, ang answer dito. Yan. So, would you believe it, guys, that this is actually a false statement? So, men are better actually at reading maps at my sense of direction based on this study. Second, men remember more things than women. Ayan, true or false? Men remember more things. Sino kaya ang mas forgetful? At sino kaya ang mas nakakaalala ng mga matsari, anniversary, and other important information? Yan. So, ayon sa research, ang kasagutan ay false because men tend to be more forgetful. Okay? Dahil yan po sa kanilang ano. Okay? So, one last. Pagpapatuloy natin mamaya. Next statement, men lie more often than women. So wala po sanang masasaktan ha. These are based on researches, okay? Men lie more than women. Parang yung mga lalaki sabi nila false, tapos yung mga women naman true, okay? But actually the correct answer is yan. Ang katotohanan talaga minsan nakakasakit. It's true, okay? So according to this study or survey, yan, average of 3 lies every day, okay? And research also show that women lie more to try to spare someone's feelings, okay? So yun. So we will continue later on. Now, I think we are ready. So as a token of our gratitude, Madam, virtually at this point, first, Dr. Fur, because the real one will be personally delivered to your office. We would like to present to you this certificate of commendation, okay? So this, allow me po to read the content, the certificate of commendation, sorry po, Doc. Commendation is presented to Dr. Noel Arafer for sharing her knowledge and expertise as one of the resource speakers on the multicultural diversity in education webinar with the topic Gender Equality in Education, held on December 9, 2023 at Bicol University Graduate School, Legazpi City. Given this 9th day of December 2023 at Bicol University Graduate School, signed by our professor, Dr. Herbert D. Rosana, and the Dean of the Bicol University College of Graduate School, Dr. Jane B. Mascareñas. Okay, so a round of applause, everyone, to Dr. Noel Raffer. Thank you so much. Ayan,
Thank you
pakita
very
naman
much po.
tayo ng konting pagmamahal through a heart emoji.
And thank you very much also po for the invite. It's a pleasure.
Medyo bitin nga lang po, Doc, but I'm sure next time we will be having more time to be with you. Okay? So, yan po. Huli man daw. At huli pa rin.
Opo, and thank you very
Anyway,
much again.
Thank
And
you.
good
Thank
to
you
see
so
you.
much.
Good to
Opo.
see you.
Good to
Have a
see
good
you
one.
also.
Bye,
Thank you so
everyone.
much. Thank you. So at this point, yan. So mag-shift naman tayo, okay? We're going to shift to another equally important topic, okay, that is relevant, especially in the new era of education. Okay? Our next speaker, everyone, holds degrees in Bachelor in Secondary Education, major in Physics, Master of Arts in Education, and Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Foundations. Her current professional engagements include teaching professional education courses, conducting research in curriculum development, pedagogy and assessment, and serving as flexible learning facilitator of SEA MEO, Inotech, and a PNU online courses for teachers and school heads on top of her administrative responsibilities. Currently, she is a professor and the dean of the Bicol University College of Education, Daraga, since 2015 and the program advisor of the PhD in Educational Foundations, an unparalleled expert in different fields with a wealth of experience and a proven track record of success. More importantly, a beacon of competence and a catalyst for inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Dr. Lorna M. Minya.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your professor. We have with us Dr. Herbert Rosana, and good afternoon to my students, to our students in the graduate school. I am happy that the program, being the program advisor of the PhD in Educational Foundations, I'm very proud that our students in the graduate school are spearheading this kind of activity. So to other participants, thank you for taking part in this kind of activity. After the talk of Doc Raffer, I feel that I cannot equal his enthusiasm and his expertise. Okay, anyway, I hope that I will also be able to impart something, some additional information, if not review what you already know about the topic assigned to me. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so the topic assigned to me is about inclusivity and education. However, I tweak it a little, starting with understanding diversity, because even before we can implement inclusive education, we have to understand the complexities of our learners. So the title of my talk is Understanding Diversity for Inclusive Educational Practice. I am highlighting educational practice because most of you here are involved in education, maybe as a teacher or as a school leader or somebody who is directly engaged in promoting learning among our clientele. Okay, so let me just share the objectives of the session. First, we have to review the concepts that serve as the foundations of diversity and inclusive education. Then after that, we will try to relate the ideal concept of diversity to what we really find inside our classroom or in the context of our school. And lastly, to advocate understanding of diversity so that we can improve our practice in our own field. So you may have noticed that my talk is more general compared to the talk of Doc Raffer, whose topic is very specific on gender. Mine is a general topic, but I hope that most of you will be able to relate to the topic because we encounter them in our own educational context. Okay, so let me start with understanding diversity. Although this is just a review, we say that diversity refers to differences in social identities. And differences in social identities may be in the form of differences not only in terms of gender orientation, but mostly in educational setting, differences in terms of mental ability, which we commonly encounter in schools, differences in terms of race and ethnicity, okay, abilities or disabilities, religious beliefs, differences in terms of social economic status, language, then learning styles, personality and interests of our learners, views and ideals, experiences, which affect how they perceive the teaching and learning process in our own classroom. There are still other ways by which our students, our learners, are different from each other. It only shows that even if our learners are identical twins, somehow there will be differences. And because of these differences, then we must do something in order to address those differences. The purpose of which is for us to maximize their potential, to develop their potential so that later they become productive citizens of the country or their own community. Okay. Generally, diversity and education is the presence of diversity and the inclusion of different people in a learning environment. So for us, the learning environment, for most of us, the learning environment is the school, and particularly the classroom. And even if we have 60 students in our classroom, then they are all different individuals. And so as teachers, we might have difficulty in trying to address the individual needs of our learners. But it is also a challenge for us to ensure that all of our learners will be learning from our teaching. And so it is a challenge for us to think of inclusive practices so that all of them will learn from what we teach. Maybe even without teaching in different ways, but at least we will be able to involve them, engage them in the teaching learning process so that more or less they will learn from what we do inside the classroom. Now, you will notice that my talk is very specific to the classroom setting and to the school setting, okay? So that we will be able to relate more to them. I will not be citing examples wherein learners are having diversity in terms of the ethnicity, in terms of race, because basically we do not experience them inside our classroom, although they are evident in international schools. Okay, so diversity in education also involves recognition and respect of different perspectives, different abilities, different experiences among students and teachers. Now, even when we discuss things in the classroom, we should not assume that what we are telling our students are something that should be taken by them hook, line, and sinker. We should give them an opportunity to air their perspective, give their own interpretation, or maybe give us their ideas about what they think about the things that we are discussing inside the classroom, because they have their own perspective. Now, this is also in keeping with constructivist philosophies, believing that our learners come to the classroom with their own experiences, with their own perspective. And so what we teach them will just be in addition to what they already know. That is a popular philosophy, which I think and I hope most of us here are adapting or believing in. Okay, so that's understanding diversity. Okay. And since if we understand diversity, then we must be able to do something. As teachers, we do something about the diverse characteristics of our learners. Okay? But in the same manner, we also have to adapt strategies so that we can cope with the diverse learners, the needs of the diverse learners. And so we have inclusion. No? We try to do inclusion so that, sabi nga ng marami, ngayon, no learner should be left behind. Okay, so that is actually what most teachers are saying. No learner should be left behind, although they might have a different interpretation. But what we understand from this is that every learner should be given the opportunity. Every learner should be given, or the child should have the right to quality education. And so we should address their needs. And that can be done through inclusive education. Okay? And inclusive education, we try to make everyone part of the teaching learning process, whether they have disabilities, whether they are men or women, whether they have different religious they belong to different religious organization, or whether they have different mental abilities. Not all are gifted. Some are slow learners, some are fast learners. We try to include them in the education or in the teaching learning process inside the classroom. Okay. Now we also adapt strategies or methodologies to ensure that these learners are here inside the classroom. These learners are given opportunity to engage in the classroom activities. So we try to give them an environment that is accepting, a welcoming environment, or something that is safe, or an environment that is safe for them, even if they have their own social identities different from that of others. Now, this concept, this philosophy of inclusive education is actually supported by SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 4, which says we need to ensure an inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So that is for the SDG 4. And it is also supported by the PPST, or the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, particularly Domain 3, which is about diversity of learners. Now, in Domain 3, it is said that the teachers must be able to provide a learning environment that is that consider the diversity of learners in terms of gender, in terms of their needs, strengths, and interest, in terms of their linguistic diversity, cultural, socio-economic, and religious background. The teacher must also be able to consider learners with disabilities, and also consider gifted learners and those with special talents. We are also asked to provide opportunities for learners in difficult situations, like, for example, those in places with armed conflicts, or students who are displaced because of some calamities. They should be included in our teaching learning process. And we should also include those members of the indigenous communities. Okay, so as teachers, we should be familiar with this domains, and so we will be able to adapt our practices relevant to inclusive education. Okay. Now, when we talk about diversity, maybe most of us are familiar with the drawbacks or the problems or the issues with diversity. But looking at the positive side, there are also some benefits. So what if our learners are diverse? For us teachers, that can be difficult because we have to adjust our teaching. No? That can be a drawback. However, there are benefits. Like, for example, if our learners are diverse, then we can have a better understanding and appreciation of others. Imagine a classroom where all students have the same ideas, the same identities. And so it's difficult for us to understand others. And so when we are confronted with situations outside the classroom, when we integrate with other learners, then we might have, or our students might have difficulty dealing with them. So a diverse classroom is giving them an opportunity to understand others and an opportunity to show sensitivity, tolerance, and respect for others. This is one reason why classrooms are usually grouped heterogeneously so that every learner will have the opportunity to mingle with other learners, other diverse learners. On the other hand, having diverse learners inside the classroom can also foster collaboration and complementation, because some students may have some strengths that others can benefit from, or other learners will also have weaknesses which can be complemented by others. Okay, so for example, if they have some activities, one student is good in computer while the other one is good in writing, or the other one is good in communicating, then they can complement each other. Okay, they can collaborate and complement each other. On the other hand, there are drawbacks. Okay, usually when there are diverse learners, it can lead to discrimination in the learning environment. So for example, when some students can have difficulty understanding the topics, they might be bullied by others. No? Or if some students have physical disability, then they might be discriminated. No? They might not be allowed to join group activities that require physical abilities, no? Or physical movement. There are also instances when some students may discriminate others because of their social status. Okay? However, these problems can be solved inside the classroom. That will be depending on the teacher on how we can address the issue and how we can minimize the discrimination among our students. There are even times wherein the teacher himself or herself is the one discriminating students. Okay, and I hope it will not happen in our classrooms. Okay, sometimes even in terms of admission, we also discriminate some students. Another drawback is that diverse needs of our learners call for diverse learning approaches and resources. So that makes the task of the teacher and the school heads very difficult. Okay, but in some way it makes our task challenging. Okay, imagine if there is no more challenge in education, then we will not be innovating our own practices. So magiging stagnant tayo. So let us welcome this opportunity for us to learn, to innovate, because our learners are diverse. Now, there are practices supportive of diversity. Some practices are institutional, some practices are classroom-based. So for some institutional practices, in some way, this is how we can be inclusive, or how we can address diversity, how we can support our learners and respect their diversity. For example, in the institution, the offering of the senior high school track is a recognition that not all our students can proceed to academic track or can proceed to STEM because they have their different abilities. Okay? The school also implements varied extracurricular and cultural activities. That's also a recognition that some students are good in music, others are good in sports, others are good in pageants, maybe, while others are good in quizzes or academic contests. Okay? Another is institutionalization of remedial and enrichment classes. Because we recognize that not all our learners can fully grasp the concepts that are being taught in the classroom, then we provide opportunity for those who are not able to learn it to have remedial instruction. And for those who are gifted, maybe, to have enrichment classes so that we can develop their full potential. Okay? Madami niyan kayo sa inyong mga classes. Okay? You have shared them during our class sessions that your schools are implementing a lot of activities related to that. Even in the hiring of teachers, we recognize the various specialization. We also recognize the talents and abilities of the teachers. Okay? We do not assume or we do not look for a teacher who has everything, all the talents, no? Because that can be complemented by other teachers. Then provision of accessible and inclusive physical facilities, yung ating mga ramp dyan, yung ating mga CR that are inclusive, those are facilities to support diversity. Then, in terms of admission, in DepEd, I know that anybody who wants to study can be admitted. No? So we open admission for the learners because we recognize that they have the right to be educated. Another is the practice of having heterogeneous classes so that they can be exposed to various culture, various abilities. The implementation of gender fair and anti-discrimination policies is also a practice in the institution to recognize diversity. Okay, and lastly, but there are some more, I did not include them anymore, the conduct of dialogues with teachers and students in a way for us to get their perspective, to learn their concern, and so as an initial step towards addressing their concern. That is in the institutional level. In the classroom level, the conduct of diagnostic tests and needs assessment is a way of finding out who needs more support, who needs more teaching, and so on. Okay? The provision of remedial and enrichment materials, who needs to be given remedial in English, who needs remedial in mathematics, and so on. Contextualization of learning activities and resources. When we conduct classes, we try to use contextualized materials because they are culturally appropriate to our kind of learners. So maybe if we have learners who come from a different culture, then we will also use materials that are sensitive to their culture. Okay, differentiated instruction, then use of varied teaching methodologies is a recognition that our learners have different learning styles. Our learners learn at different pace. Some are fast, some are slow, some likes to learn using music, some learn better using visuals, and so on. And then, but this assessment, we also use varied assessment. And we provide them opportunities, or we expose them to a lot of learning experiences, even outside the classroom environment. So these are practices which I'm sure you are familiar with, and in a way, they are manifestations that we recognize the diversity of learners in our own classrooms. So here are other issues related to diversity and inclusive education. Although we are already having some practices, but there are still a lot of issues that can be observed. Like, for example, right now, some or most of our children with disabilities are not found in the classroom. Okay, some of them are not even admitted in a school. So that means their needs are not addressed. Okay. The use of the standard measures for performance, like the NAT, for example, that the NAT is assuming that our learners have the same mental abilities, and so they're expected to have the same performance. That's why they are measured using the same yardstick. Okay? A one-size-fits-all curriculum implementation assumes that our learners are of the same capacity. Okay? Inadequate facilities and resources to address varied needs, like, for example, instructional materials, textbooks, and so on. We use the same textbook across the country, for example. So that is showing that we assume our learners are almost the same in terms of performance and learning. Okay. Then discrimination of learners, I've mentioned earlier, inadequate understanding of diversity. Now, this is very important because before we can even practice inclusive education, ito ang masyadong mahalaga. We should understand diversity. How can we promote respect? How can we promote collaboration if each one of our students is not understanding the concept of diversity? Then disparity in educational opportunities. While some can go to college, some can go to more prominent schools, others are left in some schools that cannot give them even the choice for a senior high school track, for example. Okay. Then lack of flexibility and policy implementation. This is also very important. Policies are there, however, because of the diversity of our learners. Our learners have different realities. And so sometimes there is a need for flexibility. Okay. The sad reality is that sometimes we stick to the policies at the detriment of other learners. Now, there are a lot of other issues. I could not point them out right now because of the limited time, but you are more familiar with those issues because you are there in the classroom and in your own learning context. And so how can we we may not be able to address all of them, but how can we in our capacity as teachers be able to address them? Okay, we have challenges. Okay, may mga issues, and we also have challenges. Here are the challenges for teachers. Okay, how do we understand the learners? Okay? That is a challenge because if there are 60 of them in our classroom and we have 6 classes, so 60 times 60, that is 360. How can we understand each one of them? Then the challenge of designing the curriculum that's responsive to learners' diverse needs. Okay, we are given prototype lesson plans. Prototype lesson plans means that we are assuming the learners are the same across the region, for example, or across the country. Now, there's a need for us to design or contextualize the learning materials. The curriculum is also common to all. Identifying and designing appropriate learning materials. Ayan, it's a challenge because it is time-consuming and it will require a lot of effort on our part. And using appropriate teaching methodologies. One teaching methodology may not work for one group, but it may work with others. Of course, if there are 60 different personalities in the classroom, we are not expected to use 60 appropriate teaching methodology for one topic. What we can do is make use of varied teaching methodologies for the whole quarter, for example, or for the whole year. Okay, it is almost impossible to use all of them in one topic, but we can use it across or in the whole duration so that others will also be given an opportunity to shine, kumbaga, no? So some of them are better in one type of strategy than with others. There are also challenges for educational leaders or those who are running the school. Okay, they make sure that in crafting the policy, school policies, they will not be discriminating other learners. They set attainable goals and institutional outcomes. For example, the principal may say, our target for this year is a performance rating that is as high as this. Okay, but maybe the students in the classroom or in the school may not be able to reach them. Okay, so dapat attainable based on the characteristics of our learners. A challenge is also there in implementing programs responsive to varied culture and beliefs, and in ensuring a safe and secure school environment so that learners will not be discriminated. Okay, now how can we address these challenges? We have here some only sample measures for, it should be inclusive educational practice. Nasa lang po, nagkamali. It should be, okay, so call for inclusive educational practices. Number 1 pa rin dyan, understanding the learners, setting learner-centered outcomes, adapting classroom practices, then learning environment, policies and guidelines, then opportunity for self-expression and the development of their potentials. And we should also provide them opportunities for collaboration and exchange of ideas. Now, these things are something that are doable in our own context. We do not need to go to the region. We do not need to go to the division or the national level for us to be able to accomplish these simple measures. So that means that even in our small way, we can promote inclusive education. Right in our own classroom, we can make our learners feel that they have equal rights to education. Okay, so finally, let me summarize my topic using this diagram by saying that very important and essential is understanding the diversity. Okay, if we understand the diversity of our learners, we can implement quality, inclusive education in our own practice. And what for? In order for us to realize the full potential of our learners. Sabi nga ni Sir Herbert kanina, and I quote, sabi niya, inclusive education is not the destination. Okay, so that is very true. Inclusive education in this diagram is not the destination, it is the journey. So it is the process of making our learners learn. So inclusive education is not the destination, it is the journey. Okay? And so if we are going to relate this with some principles that we are very familiar with, in terms of the learner, we say, learners are unique. And along quality education, we always know that every child has the right to quality education. And para saan? Para kanino? Sa ating mga learners, realization of their full potential is connected with what we always say. Learners should not be left behind. And with that, may I share one quote that is very appropriate for our talk here or now. Diversity, according to Ola Joseph, an advocate of diversity in education. According to him, diversity is not about how we differ. Diversity is about embracing another's uniqueness. And with that, I would like to thank you for listening, and I hope somehow I was able to impart kahit maliit lang na additional knowledge to the already existing knowledge that you have. Thank you very much to the PhD class.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Lorna Minya, for enlightening us through conversations that bridge theory and practice in inclusive education, and for affirming our practice that we are on the right track. And of course, thank you also for exploring innovative strategies and successful initiatives from around the globe. Together, we will strive to cultivate actionable insights that can inform policies, reshape educational practices, and of course, contribute to the ongoing dialogue on inclusive education. So at this point, we would like to hear a reaction from one of our participants. May I invite Miss Maria Nenita Carrizo for the reaction.
Thank you, Ma'am Joanne. My high respect to one of our resource speakers, Dr. Lorna Minya, for a very, what should I say, substantial information, knowledge given to us during this webinar. Education is not an isolated experience, but an interactive endeavor that takes place over the person's life. When the community, schools, and families work together, they can provide the best possible resources and expertise to enhance the education of all children. Schools establish partnership to provide the best education for all learners. So why schools must advocate for inclusion? Advocacy as a means to achieve the empowerment of disadvantaged groups, including people with disabilities, so they actively participate and are directly included in decision-making affecting their lives. Inclusive education is very important because all children are able to be part of the community and develop a sense of belonging and become better prepared for the past. in the community, as children and adults. Hence, it provides better opportunities for learning. With this, teachers play an important role in creating an environment where every learner feels welcome, accepted, respected, and valued. This means using inclusive language, promoting empathy, and fostering a culture of acceptance. So, inclusive education is very important to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Nenita, for your reaction. So I guess our speaker is now ready to take questions from the audience and from our participants. So you may use the chat box, guys, for your questions, and or you may raise your hand so that you can be acknowledged and ask the question personally. Okay, live. Meron po ba? Any questions? Ayan, parang wala na naman tayong imik ngayon because I think the discussion was clear. It was very simple, right? And true to the nature of our speaker, very practical approaches on how we can apply inclusive education in our context. Okay? So while I think we are waiting for some questions from our participants, let me share to you, Madam, our certificate. Okay? So at this point, we would like to share our certificate of commendation to Dr. Lorna M. Minya for sharing her knowledge and expertise as one of the resource speaker for this multicultural diversity seminar held with the topics rather gender equality in education held on December 9, 2023 at Bicol University Graduate School, Legazpi City. Given this 9th day of December 2023 at Bicol University Graduate School, Legazpi City, signed Dr. Herbert B. Rosana and Dr. Jane Mascarenas. So everyone, let's give a round of applause to our speaker once again.
Thank
Maraming salamat po,
Thank
Madam.
you.
It's such an honor having you. It's good to see you again po.
Opo, see you.
Okay, any words before we end our discussion po?
Okay, so to the PHDEF family, I hope that you sustain your enthusiasm, you sustain this willingness and openness for new learning, not only from the teacher, but from varied resources. Actually, this activity is part of inclusive education, trying to learn from many different teachers or resources, not only from the one who is assigned to you.
Yes.
Although he is very capable of imparting the knowledge, but having it from other resources speakers is part of inclusive education. So thank you very much, Sir Herbert. Thank you very much to all the members of the class and to the participants.
Hey, thank you so much po, Dr. Lorna Minya, once again. And we hope that you would be able to agree on our invitation in the coming years or semesters to come, okay? So at this time po,
Okay, so may I be allowed to leave because I have a defense at 5
yes,
o'clock.
surely po, Madam. Thank you so
po.
much
Thank
for
you
your
very
precious time spent with
Okay.
us. So thank you. So at this point po, we are announcing to everybody that the link for our evaluation is already posted in the Zoom chat box. So there are two evaluations actually. So we have the BUCE extension evaluation link and the webinar as a whole evaluation link. And you may look into the link posted into the chat box, okay? And may I request all our participants, of course, before we part ways, to comment through a through a hashtag, rather, your takeaway from today. Ano po yung major learning natin or takeaway natutunan natin from the two speakers that we had? So kindly chat your answers and use a hashtag. We will be waiting for that one. And probably we can read some of your comments. Okay? Yan. Hashtag focus on journey. Yan. Mag-focus tayo sa journey. Okay? Sa process also. Kasama po ba sa journey yung mga kasama natin? Also, of course, they would be part of our journey. Okay. Other answers po? Ano ang takeaway natin for this afternoon? Hashtag make a difference. Yes. Diversity. There's unity in diversity. And we are all unique. Di ba? Okay. Some more po. Thank you so much sa mga nag-share. Or would you like to be recognized po? Maybe call from our participants na nandito. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay? We are very grateful for each and every one of you for spending almost 2 hours already with us. So sabi naman ng isa nating participant, hashtag unity through diversity. Yes, through our differences, we learn from one another and we foster collaboration. Yan. From Sir Georgie naman, hashtag inclusivity. Hey, may susunod dyan, syempre. Hashtag gender and equality. Okay? So, just keep your hashtag coming. We also have hashtag we are all valid. Yeah, not just our feelings, but everything that encompasses our personality. Next, we also have hashtag togetherness. Hashtag the beauty of accepting differences. Yan. And we also have hashtag embracing diversity through unity. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being so participative. Every learner is unique and the best interest of every learner is a priority. Indeed, hashtag make a difference. Then we also have hashtag inclusivity is education for all. And hashtag towards progressive education. Thank you so much, Sir Kenneth, also for your comment. Okay? No, meron pa po ba? So just keep them coming. And before we end, I'd like to impart some words, okay, as a closing for our gathering. In a world evolving at an unprecedented pace, the role of education as a catalyst for development cannot be overstated. Yet, for true progress, we must acknowledge and address the nuanced challenges faced by different genders within our educational systems. It is not merely about ensuring access, but fostering an environment that nurtures diversity, empowers individuals, and harness the collective strength of all. As we reach the end of this webinar, let us commit everyone to fostering an inclusive future where education becomes a powerful force for empowerment, breaking down barriers, and unlocking the full potential of every individual, regardless of gender. And remember, I'd like to reiterate, education is the foundation of a great nation. So thank you for joining us on this important journey towards a more just and equitable world. Sayonara po and magandang hapon. So ayan yung mga hashtags pa rin natin. Meron pa hashtag respect individual differences and hashtag equality and equity. So thank you so much to our participants, but we have to document, of course. So we invite everybody, if you are able to turn on your cameras, to please smile for a very productive afternoon and let us take our pictures. We are 80 in this session. A while ago, we reached 100. So panel number 1, are we ready? Thank you so much also. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Next panel. We have 4. Keep on smiling, guys. Ready, set, go. Next. 1, 2, 3. And finally, our last panel. Yan. So, I hope na-capture lahat ng ating participants this afternoon. So if you guys have some other questions, you can use the chat box, okay? Salamat sa pagsama sa amin. And advance Merry Christmas. So if there are no other questions or comments, maraming salamat. Bye-bye. Thank you, Bicol University. Thank you, participants. Thank you to our teachers and of course, our dear speakers. Thank you po. Have a great weekend.
Recording stop.